Welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin, through these bonus episode play-by-plays of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's a play-by-play because each week I've been keeping score on who is the most relatable housewife on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We will get to this week's scorecard at the end of this episode, and by the end of the season, we will name who our relatable queen of Beverly Hills is. Now, this episode was titled The Last Supper, and I felt like that was pretty clever because it's Passover, it's Easter week, but also seeing that in the after show, Dorit, Kyle, and Erica still haven't reconciled, even though they've shot the reunion at this point. They've had plenty of time to have conversations. Maybe it was the last supper of their friendship as it stands. See, Kyle and Dorit, and I'm sorry, I feel like this term does get overused, but I feel like there's like a gaslighting of the audience where we're supposed to be believing that Dorit is spiraling and like that she's this villain, right? And like while I do believe that Dorit maybe is spiraling a little bit, I'm not fully buying this villain kind of thing that they're tossing on Dorit. Like I understand that Kyle has her grievances and I don't really understand Erica's grievances, but let's just play out from their perspective that they're tired of Dorit's bullshit. Okay, that's fine. What has Dorit actually done except for like be late and maybe not be financially responsible? I don't really know, but they're upset about it and they're really mad. I have a take that I will share later on in the episode. But before we get into the feud that has fired up all the ladies in Beverly Hills, let's hit it with our hot mic confessional. So for this week's hot mic confessional, let's talk about Real Housewives of Rhode Island and The Valley. They are two shows that came back this week. Real Housewives of Rhode Island, it was its season, series, franchise premiere. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it delivered. I don't know who anyone is. I need lower thirds on the screen for a longer period of time and showing up much more often than they actually are because there's a lot of brunettes and they all, apparently, according to Dolores, have the same face doctor and they all favor each other very heavily. And so that makes it difficult. But I liked what I saw. I liked the drama. I thought that it was really cool that there's a former pageant girl on it. I think it's hilarious that she's like a sugar baby with a guy that like has another girlfriend that lives in Miami. So she's only like a part-time sugar baby and she hasn't worked for 10 years. And she's a lady of leisure, her words. But also I'm thinking to myself, like, because she's like, I need to find a new thing in my life because I'm 30. And I'm like, girlfriend, you better hope this show works because you haven't worked in 10 years. You got to be a reality star now. That's what happens. In the Valley, I know a lot of people don't like that Lala Kent has returned and they feel like it feels schlocky, but I actually like Lala on the Valley. I feel like she holds people accountable in a really fun way, and I just think she's a good reality television personality. Now, Tom Schwartz, I don't know if he adds anything, but I do like that they tried to say that like Michelle and Tom might have a fling. And if they end up getting together, then him being on the show is completely worth it. And I feel like when it comes to Michelle and Jesse, I'm on Michelle's side, even though she does seem a little wackadoo. And I'm glad that Brittany's in love. Kristen Dowdy, I don't really get her fully. I'm going to be honest. I know that people love her down. I didn't watch, by the way, I watched The Valley, but I didn't get into Vanderpump Rules because it just never was my thing. But I feel like there's rumors from how Kristen behaved on Vanderpump Rules that make me proceed with caution on her. Now, for Nia, I feel like she needs to stop having kids. Danny feels like her fifth kid. Danny needs to get away from Nia so that she can be her own person because he is keeping her barefoot and pregnant. And I want to release my girl from that drama. Okay, those are just my headlines, hot takes. Quick and fast. Now let's get into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So we are still in Italy. It's the last night in Italy. Again, Last Supper. And we're starting the episode in the midst of the drama that was already existing from the last episode, which was, I'm just going to say it, Kyle being a hater. I hated that right at the top of the episode, Kyle brings up that Bose also was talking about these concerns about Dorit. And Bose, like an adult person, just says like, hey, my bad. Didn't know that wasn't information for everybody. I didn't mean to I didn't mean to betray your confidence, Dorit. I apologize. She didn't deflect. She didn't get defensive. She just owned it and was like, yeah, oops, my bad. Sorry, girlfriend. And Dorit accepts it and they move on. Kyle is a hater because she goes, well, of course you accept Bose's apology. And it's like, well, Kyle, the vitriol that you have for Dorit is like anyone with eyeballs can see it. So yeah, your apology is going to need a little bit more. And Rachel keeps trying to say that it has to do with the fact that they've had this long friendship. And I think it has less to do with the fact that they have a long friendship and more to do with the fact that Kyle has a bad attitude about it and Dorit has a bad attitude about it. And they're both just not going to get through with these bad attitudes. Kyle in her confessional says Bose could spit in Dorit's face and she'd like it. And it's like, oof, it's a vile thing to say. Dorit is actually keeping her cool for the most part in this dynamic. And Sutton says that she doesn't believe that everyone calling Dorit erratic even means anything because she's also been called erratic. And then Dorit very quickly says, yeah, but Sutton, you were being erratic. I also like that in Sutton's confessional, she's like, I don't know if it matters that Dorit's late and who cares that she's spending money. And for that, I'm like, Sutton, that is so valid and exactly where I think all the rest of us stand. And to be fair, like, I feel like when I originally watched it, I didn't give Sutton a like us point, but I think in hindsight and talking about it, like, thank God Sutton seems sane in this instance, right? Sutton also lies and says that Dorit said that she could have ended Kyle, which is not true. Dorit actually says that if she took the lead, it would have blown up Kyle's life, which feels like those are two different things. It's Dorit saying she knew information about Kyle that she never shared and that would not share. But had she shared it, the way that Kyle is sharing bad things about Dorit and her divorce, it wouldn't have boded well for Kyle. And that's probably true. Not a nice thing to say, though. She probably shouldn't have said that either. But you know what? They're battling. They're battling. I just don't understand from Kyle's perspective. Like, how is Dorit supposed to respond to all of this? You're going hard at her at a table. If you guys are supposed to be the closest of close friends, then you're bringing this dirt to people who are not as close of her friend. And then you're also bringing this dirt onto the television platform. And so I don't know how Dorit's supposed to respond to this. And then, but however she's responding, Kyle doesn't like it because Kyle's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be friends. And to me, telling someone that we shouldn't be friends is like the equivalent. It's like when you're little and like everyone's like on the playground, you're in elementary school, maybe you're under the age of 8. People do this under the age of 8. It's like something you do when you're 5. And, someone makes someone else really mad and they go, you're not invited to my birthday party. And like that is to not be invited to a birthday party as a kid, to like the threat of not being invited to a birthday party, it is the most egregious thing you could say. It is the biggest middle finger in childhood, is to say you're not invited to my birthday. And I feel like Kyle goes there. Kyle stoops to a level where she says, well, maybe we shouldn't be friends anymore. And I think that's sad because I think Kyle saying we shouldn't be friends anymore is a threat to Dorit's livelihood. It's a threat to, Dorit's networking in Los Angeles. I feel like Kyle saying that is her throwing her weight around in a way that Lisa Vanderpump used to do. Lisa Vanderpump used to definitely throw her weight around, and that's Kyle doing that in this moment. And what Dorit ends up saying in her confessional later on is that she knows that it's more important for Erica to be in Kyle's good graces than to stay friends with Dorit. And when I thought about that a little bit more, I think that there's something true in that. And I love Erica Jane. But Erica Jane goes to a lot of these like gay pride events. She's DJing. She's kind of in with Paris Hilton. That's important to her. They have a lot of similar friends. And I think, it helps Erica's business to be cool with Paris. And I don't think she can stay cool with Paris if Kyle's mad at her, if she's not in good with the Richard sisters, And Dorit doesn't really have any business with them, She doesn't. Her business with them is being on this TV show. And Kyle's like, I can kick you off the show. You're only on this show because of Lisa Vanderpump. And Lisa Vanderpump hasn't been on this show for a very long time. And the reason why Lisa Vanderpump hasn't been on the show is because of you and me and Erica and what we all did together to kick Lisa off the show. And guess what? You're next. If you think that you can behave this way, you will not be my friend. That's how I read the situation. Nasty work. I think Dorit also read the situation that way. And Dorit does not actually react as negatively, but I think she would have if Erica did not then chime in. So then Erica chimes in and she says, why aren't you paying attention to what everyone is saying? Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you active participant in what's going on? And Dorit tries to say, well, I'm dealing with my kids. And Erica says, well, we all have kids. But that's true. And I sound like I'm such a Dorit defender, and I'm not, but I think that she's getting... I just feel like Dorit is going through a lot, not more than anyone else, but I think that they're making a really big deal of the things that Dorit is doing in a way that it's actually not as big of a deal. But if they don't make it a big deal, then it would force everyone to be confronted with their own stuff that they're going through. Dorit is giving them a storyline, in other words. Because also, yeah, I guess like Erica says, well, everyone has kids. Your kids aren't more important. But like, I do think Dorit has some of the youngest kids in the group. And then not only does she have young kids, she has young kids who saw or heard about their mother being held at gunpoint. So I'm sure that there's anxiety and PTSD there. And then aside from Amanda, who also has young kids, Amanda's not in the middle of a divorce. She has a husband who's there to watch her kids. It's consistent. There's steady flow of money coming through. It's not this like coming from a place of instability, where Dorit's family is in so much rocky territory, rocky ground. Of course, Dorit wants to check on her kids, and that might take a little bit longer. And so I don't know if writing that off makes a lot of sense. And I do feel like Dorit is making a point in saying like, well, I'm sharing my life. What's going on in yours? And she kind of turns the table on Erica and Kyle. And in a lot of ways, I feel like it's a shifting of the rules, right? Because Dorit's been really, I find Dorit to be very authentic, emotionally authentic. Like, she doesn't even really have the accent anymore. That's the thing that so many people online to be like, Dorit is fake like her accent. It's like, Dorit doesn't even really have an accent anymore. She's grounded. She's not putting on airs, and she's not trying to pretend to be someone that she's not, because I don't think she has the energy to do that. So I think she is just showing up and taking it one day at a time. I see that happening on my screen. I think Kyle and Erica don't like that, because if Dorit is being that honest, then that makes them have to be that honest. That means that they're not doing fake storylines with Dorit. It means that Dorit is focused on herself, right? And Erica tries to say, well, everyone's going through something. Everyone's going through something. And it's in this moment I realized that they don't ever really let Dorit finish her thoughts. And I guess it's because they think that her thoughts run on too long and that she talks too much. And it keeps escalating and escalating. And Dorit still doesn't get to fully finish her thought because she leaves. And dinner is a disaster. And Kathy is trying to smooth things over with Dorit, which I saw that some people were surprised by, but I was not surprised by that, because I do feel like Kathy, even though Kyle gets to pretend to be the grand dame, Kathy really is. And I think Kathy going was in the hopes that they could calm Dorit down. And Dorit's not calm. Dorit's like, I've had enough. I'm tired. We've heard this, by the way, we've heard this monologue a few times from Dorit. She's unburdened. Like, you know what I mean? She's unburdened. And in this unburdening, Dorit walks off. She smokes a ciggy. She says, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. The core issue with this group is that it really has survived for years on this like unspoken agreement that no one has to share the real stuff, especially if you're in the core group. The Kyle, Erica, Teddy was in it, Lisa Rinna was in it, Dorit was in it. Nobody shares the real stuff. And if no one shares the real stuff, to be a friend in the friend group means that you also don't call anyone out on it. There have been a lot of episodes and drama with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that other franchises don't necessarily have, which is always like, I can't believe you brought that up on camera. Bringing stuff up on camera that you're not supposed to in Beverly Hills is one of the most cardinal sins, the most biggest rule you could break in this friend group, is you don't bring up stuff on camera. Now, Dorit is not bringing up other people's stuff on camera, so she is following that rule, but she is bringing up her own stuff on camera. And so Dorit is breaking that agreement by opening up about her divorce. And Kyle and Erica, who have not opened up, find themselves in this very awkward position because now Dorit is holding everyone accountable and to a standard of authenticity that they have not matched. They have not matched in a long time. So my take is that it's very clear that the rules are shifting, and Kyle really wants to hold on to the old rules. And in holding on to the old rules, she's also playing an old game, which is like, Dorit, that doesn't bode well for you. Why are you doing that? What's going on? And Dorit's like, you're phony. You don't even care that much. You're pretending like you care so that this can be a story for the show. That's what's happening from my perspective. We leave Italy in shambles. Nothing's going well. We're back in Beverly Hills. Amanda's working on her house. Dorit is doing a photo shoot for her book, Unburdened. She's talking about the fact that sometimes releasing a cover can spark interest in the book. By the way, I'm very interested in Dorit's book, and I will be reading it, and I hope I get an early copy so that I can recap it, because I am thoroughly interested in what Dorit's going to write. Even if this season didn't happen, I feel like Dorit is such an enigma. We don't know barely anything about her because she came on the show in such an odd character. She came onto the show as a character, and now we're kind of seeing her. And it's like, yeah, but how did we get here? So she's doing a photo shoot, and she calls up her two friends that I would also call up these friends. She calls up Rachel, and she calls up Bose. Now, if I had a friend, which I do, who's a stylist, I'm calling my stylist friend to make sure I look good on my book cover. And I'm also calling my friend up who was like CMO, marketing chair extraordinaire, Bozema St. John. I'm calling them both up to make sure that my photo shoot for my book looks good. I felt like that was legitimate. Honestly, I didn't plan on giving Dorit a like us point for that, but in talking about it, she also gets a point. So right now, so far, we have Sutton and Dorit 1 point each. Now, they all sit down after the photo shoot, and I've never heard Rachel Zoe say something less relatable in my life. This is the least relatable thing Rachel Zoe has said. And she says, I hate my birthday. What? Excuse me? What? She says, I hate my birthday. I hate being the center of attention. I don't like a birthday. And I cannot believe that. It's shocking. Shocking. To not like your birthday. By the way, I feel like birthdays are not guaranteed. I think getting older is not a guarantee. And so I don't subscribe to this hoopla that you need to be like embarrassed of your age or that you don't say your age. I think aging is a gift. I think it's beautiful that you get afforded another year at life, another trip around the sun. And so Rachel not liking her birthday, I'm like, come on, girl. You're alive. Enjoy it. We get more of Rachel as she goes shopping with her son Sky, and she talks about him getting a summer job, and I thought that was cute. Rachel says her first job was at 9 West. My first job was at Abercrombie, the children's store. It was a good time. I liked it. We also see Bose, and Bose goes house shopping with Keely and Lael, and she mentions that when she first dated Keely, he left her in his house, and she went through his whole house and like explored because he trusts her so much. And although I would never admit that on this microphone, I will say that there is something relatable about wanting information about the person that you're newly dating if you think that they're the one. And so I am going to say +1 to Bose. Rachel has her Studio 54 party. And what's hilarious is Rachel goes, I feel like I was born and raised in Studio 54. And that's so funny. I love a disco era. For my bachelorette party, I did something called the Disco Show at Spiegel World in Las Vegas. It's at the Link Hotel. And if you haven't been, I highly recommend. It is literally so fun. Me and my friends, we were probably the youngest people there. Everyone there was like, 40, 50, 60, 70. But it's a full dance floor. That's a disco. But it also is an interactive, immersive show. And it's put on by Tony Award winning like playwrights, producers. It's amazing. It's like you step into the world of Studio 54, you're watching these characters, then the dance floor lights up and you are in the show. It was just it was so cool. Highly recommend. Unsponsored, but just putting you on to cool things. So Rachel Zoe's Studio 54 party happened, and I liked that when they asked Rachel how old she was, she's like, are you okay? You know, like she doesn't want to tell her age. But what I appreciate is that she says she's 37 forever. And as someone who has not hit 37 yet, I will say that 37 does sound like the perfect age. It's like so aspirational. You're like older, you're in your upper 30s, you're like a woman, you've like lived life, like you know things, you're intelligent, but you're still like in your 30s and young and cool and hip. And it's like, it just feels like peak age. Like 37 does feel very chic, feels very cool. And so I'm not 37 yet, but when I am 37, maybe I will be forever 37. I know I just said that aging is a gift, but I'm a woman. I'm allowed to change my mind. Last thing on Rachel's though, because I love her. I love that when she comes out to see the party, she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She's just like so excited by it all. And she says, oh my God, so many times. Like, it reminded me of, did you guys ever watch the show Newlyweds with Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey? And she was shopping with her mom. And when they were shopping, they kept saying everything was cute. They're, that's cute. So cute. So cute. So cute. Oh my God, that's so cute. I like when editors catch on when people say things like that. I feel like Rachel's saying, oh my God, though. Ugh, I get it. Like us point. Because I just feel like it's relatable. The party is awkward. And everyone starts arriving. And I hate to talk. Like, look. Amanda means no harm. Amanda, and I've been, my foot has been off her neck all episode. And I think maybe last episode too. But this outfit was giving Eras Tour not complimentary. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't like that outfit one bit. Like, what? I didn't like that outfit. Kyle shows up. Kyle looks cool. She shows up with Sutton and Amanda. Like, okay, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, fine. Erica shows up alone. Everyone's there. And Dorit shows up with Bose. And as they arrive, it's awkward. And I'm having a hard time rooting for Kyle because I feel like the things she's saying just feel mean-spirited. You know? It just seems mean-spirited. Like, Kyle shows up and she talks to Sutton. And Dorit arrives and she goes, oh, there's the infamous Kelly bag. And it's like, you don't have to bring that up, Kyle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, just being mean. Mean girl stuff. Dorit has no friends at the party except for Bose and Rachel's about to dip out because she doesn't want to deal with the drama. She's like, food's here, drinks there, have a good time, bye. Everyone's taking pictures. Dorit feels odd and uncomfy. And honestly, that's how the episode ends. Odd and uncomfy. We get a foreshadowing that maybe next week Dorit has beef with Sutton and that no one shows up to her book party. Sad. But when this episode wraps, I just think to myself, wow, let's look at the scorecard. So at the end of the episode, we got Rachel with the point, Bose with the point, Dorit with a point, and Sutton with a point. So we got 4 like us points this episode dispersed around the group. That brings Rachel in first place, Erica still in second, Kyle in third, but now tied with Bose and Dorit. So all Kyle, Bose, Dorit all have 50 points. And Sutton now is in fourth place on her own with 45 points. And the friends of and Amanda have 40 at the bottom. But if you like your housewives unrelatable, then they are your winners. For the first time all season, Sutton Strack or Brown is no longer at the bottom of the pyramid. She is working her way downtown. Uptown. Downtown. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, tag. Tell me that you're listening. Tell me that you're out there. It means so much. Follow us at Like Us Pod. Follow me at Erin Jones-Wesley. We have so much new stuff coming with the podcast for season 2. Me and my sister Danielle are both coming back on the mic to talk to you and with you about all things going on. And so we cannot wait to have you join us. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back next week.